So, again, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. For me, it's evening. For some of you, I know we're global, so it's all over the place. So thank you for taking the time to joining me. My name is Cmehil. I work for a company called SAP, or SAP. For some of you may recognize it that way. But we are a German company, almost 50 years old, and I got the opportunity to share a little bit about my thoughts on embracing, encouraging, and engaging your community audience. So I would like to share a little bit with you there. And it's really funny because I put my slides together, and the first thing that I read in the speaker guide handbook was, please don't have a slide introducing yourself. But that's me, right? And when you're thinking about encouraging and engaging and enabling your community and all of these good things and thinking about how diverse your audience is, it usually has to start with you as an individual. And that's me. Dual citizen. I've lived in multiple different countries, speak a couple of different languages, and I love to help people. And I do a lot of different things. Some of you may recognize some of the pictures on here. Some of you may not. Some of you may think, huh, what does that have to do with anything? But hopefully by the time I'm through with this, things will be a little bit more apparent as to why I have a lot of different weirdness in here. Because I really do believe that, you know, when you're looking at your audience, you really need to look at yourself and think about yourself first. And I'm a storyteller by just nature. I just love to talk. Those of you who know me, and I do recognize a couple of names from the audience, that's really cool. I love talking and I love sharing stories. And I think stories are one of the perfect ways for us to talk to each other and to do all of this. But it's also one of these things about how to open up and make other people realize the diverse differences about all of us and the audiences that we're talking to. And the first little story that I'd like to share with you is one about my kids. I am a father. I have two kids, teenagers now, but it goes to this idea in school. They were having a project where both of their classes were doing, they're in different grades, but it's like the whole school was doing this project. Where would you want to live if you could live anywhere in the world? Well, being a non-native German and living in Germany, it was kind of an ironic question for me because I answered with the name of the town that I live in. Now, for my kids, though, they were confused. They were utterly perplexed with why in the world would I want to live here? Because from their perspective, it was all about looking somewhere else. But they were supposed to ask their parent or parents where they wanted to live as well and bring this back as part of their project. And the end result is I got a phone call from the school. Of course, getting on the phone call, speaking with my non-native accent, they quickly realized, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this is a concept that we hadn't considered. We gave a project out to the students, but we didn't expect any of the students to actually come back and name the town that we all lived in already. They were hoping for, you know, Paris or London or San Francisco or New York or Cape Town or anything like this. And it's one of those things that I always like to try to remember when I think about the idea of audience and the fact that, yeah, your audience is going to be different. They're not going to give you the answers that you're hoping for or that you're expecting. It's always going to change. And the one thing that I'm not, and will become painfully apparent as we look through these lovely slides, I am not a presentation slide maker. I happily present and I can talk for hours and hours, but slides, not my thing. So please forgive me or give me the allowance for some not so great slides. And what I'm hoping for, though, is that as we go through this, there's a couple of things that you'll take away. One, some of the history and the thought processes that we've gone through as we've looked at our audiences and our community, but also some of the things that we've learned along the way and some of those lessons that stick with us that we want to remember and that may help save you some time. But most importantly, this could all be total nonsense to you, and it may not make any sense to you and your community or you and your audience at all. And that's okay, because it's, you know, it's all subjective and it's based on how you want to engage with your audience, because it always that starts with you as an individual. So today, I want to talk about embracing, right? We want to embrace our audience, and we want to figure out how do we embrace that audience the best way possible. How can we do so with energy, with passion, within, you know, just that whole idea that we want to just, you know, I want to hug my audience, metaphorically, of course. Today's standards, that may be a little bit pushing the line, but I do. I want my audience to feel welcome. I want to include as many of members of my audience as possible, as easily as possible. And I want to encourage them. I want them to grow together with us. It's a journey that we're all on here as we do what we're trying to do, whether you're trying to build a community or whether you're just trying to engage an existing one, or whether you're just trying to engage a group of individuals for a project. You want to encourage them to develop with you, because together it's about mutual success. Together you will be successful, but it doesn't work if you're not there with them. Okay. And of course, how do we do this? We engage. And a lot of these sessions at CMX have been absolutely phenomenal. I've caught several of them. I've bookmarked ones and written notes of ones that I want to catch the replays. And I'm really excited for when all of these people come together like this to share that knowledge, because that's what we should all be doing. Finding a way to engage our audience, share that knowledge, embrace them along this journey with us, and encourage them to share their knowledge as well. So my hat's off to events like this, where they reached out to different people and they said, hey, would you be willing to share? Or they sent an email and said, hey, if you have an idea, submit a session. This is the way that we should be doing life. We should be looking for other people to share their stories as well. So what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about a little bit about our own community, where we started, to give you a kind of a baseline or an understanding of where we're coming from in terms of where we're trying to get, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. Maybe some of it resonates with you, but again, maybe it doesn't. And again, everything about community is always going to be subjective, because one size will never fit all. It doesn't work. You have to adapt, and you have to recognize the audience for who you have, right? And what I want to show is a brief history. So I want to go a little bit of a trip and show you some of those crazy ideas, some of the thoughts that we had, some of the things that we've tried. And what I want to do is take that little journey down memory lane. Okay. I'll keep it short. I'll keep it brief. I do want to make sure that I have time for questions, because I think interaction and conversation is probably the best way for people to learn, because it lets you get your thoughts out. But memory lane is also important. And it's very important for us to understand where we came from and remember the things that we've done, we've tried, we've worked on. And the SAP community truly did start as a mailing list back in the 90s, 95, 97. We embraced the World Wide Web with 2003 with the private launch of a beta customer only type of environment, like many people do. We opened it up in 2004 though, and we've been opened ever since. Anybody can join, everybody can sign up. We don't gate, right? If you want to participate, if you want to add content, you got to sign up so we know who you are. That's about where we're at. And we've been extremely successful. We've got a lot of those big numbers, those big metrics and everything. And I could bore you with numbers left and right and everything like that. But it's not really something that I want to do today. Today, I want to talk to you about those things that we've tried, those things that we've embraced, the different things that we've tried to do to understand our audience, whether it was at physical events or even taking that big, giant risk of opening up a blog platform and letting the community blog as well. So we've got something like over 9,000 blog posts, like 40–50% of them are coming from non-employees. For me, this is phenomenal. This is brilliant. This is exactly what I want to accomplish. I want people to share their stories. I want them to share with us things that work for them, things that didn't work. We've of course got the ones who are complaining about us. That's okay. We embrace that because that's part of our audience as well. And we don't want to hide from it. Really funny. You know, when we look at this and we think about this, I talk to different experts or different community folks, and they're always shocked when I say we opened it completely up and it's not just our employees writing blog posts. It seems to be shocking. And I'm like, okay, but then I have to remember, because it's always subjective. It's based on the audiences that you're dealing with. And so it may work for you, it may not. But we tried different things. We've tried wikis, we've tried hacker nights, we've tried this, we've tried that, we've launched, we've looked at, we've tried. Why? Because we're trying to understand our audience, and we know that our audience always is changing. So in 2006, we started our top contributors to recognize those experts. It was driven by points. It was driven by that gamification, that nature, that feel that I need to be the one at the top of the list. And I myself, was sitting there 60,000 points. I'm a diamond level. And I still have that today. And it's still something that I really enjoy today, but it also comes with challenges, right? When you base it on points, people are driven for points. In fact, what's really funny is I'm looking at a screenshot on the screen right now, and that person's in the audience. I just realized that. So greetings to you, Paul. But points have a downfall. When it's driven by that pure leaderboard concept, people find a way to game it. They find a way to manipulate it. They find a way to artificially enhance it. And that leads to all sorts of problems left and right. But then we also realized it's not just developers in our environment. It's not just tech people. There's another type of audience. There's business folks. And we tried to launch with those. We acquired a company. We integrated their community as well. We hit our 1 million people. We brought our universities into it. We've done points and gamification for donating to charities like the World Food Program, or instead of giving people a t-shirt or swag, we gave trees. We've tried all these different things for the sheer purpose of trying to understand what resonated most with our audience. But what we also realized is that from one day to the next, our audience constantly was changing. And what resonated one day may not resonate the next. And so we tried through various different things and just all of this. And again, I don't want to bore you with all these little minor details and bits and pieces here, or the fact that we launched our virtual series because everybody else had to as well, because the world changed around us. Again, change drives everything that we do. And the only constant in life is change. Now, change is scary. Change is terrifying. Change is actually really cool. Change is an opportunity. Change is a chance for people to try something new. Change is an opportunity for you to learn something different. Change is an opportunity to embrace new people, to encourage new people, to learn those new things. So change, it doesn't have to be bad, but sometimes people are terrified of change. It's nothing wrong with that. Everybody is different. I personally love change. I think change is amazing. I am always trying new things. Back to that introduction slide, a lot of the different things that you saw there. Change is what it is, and we have to consider change. We have to adapt to change. We have to think about change, and we have to rethink, constantly questioning the things that we're doing, because our audience is changing. Whether we want them to or not, the audience does change. So we've tried different crazy ideas. Now, the first couple of them, you probably tried them as well, or you've been a participant or a recipient of those ideas. First one, of course, is swag. Everybody loves swag. This is actually a picture that I have to this day, because I actually took it like a year ago. I have all of this stuff still, and some of this stuff is extremely dated. I think that MP3 player was a 128 megabit MP3 player. So if anybody's up on recent tech, you'll know that's a little bit small. But we tried the swag. We tried branding. We tried this. We tried this. We tried to encourage this. We tried to do that. Swag is normal. Everybody likes to give away swag. But then at some point you realize your audience has nothing but swag, and they have a drawer full of t-shirts or a closet full of hoodies or something like this. So then that's where we tried things like trees. We tried donating to charities. Our last physical event, you could earn points and get a prize, or you could donate it to charity. We actually had a massive number of people donating to charity instead. It was a surprise for us. We hadn't been anticipating that. But it encouraged us, because we understood then something new about our audience. We also tried what I will never, ever, ever try again unless I'm absolutely forced to do so. We did t-shirts, and we color coded them, and we were geeky, and we said, we're going to base it on memory. 256, 512, 124, 248. Then we got to 5,000, because we never anticipated anybody would actually hit 5,000. We never planned for it. So then we had to quickly, put something together for 5,000. Then all of a sudden we thought, oh my God, nobody will ever get higher than this. Then somebody got 10,000, and we did something else. And then we had the first person hit 30,000. And at that point we decided we're going to stop giving out something for these points. There was a couple of reasons why. One, people were always surprising us by surpassing the highest number that we thought they would get, but also because we started to see our t-shirts on shop owners close to some of our locations. So people weren't actually wearing them with pride anymore. They were just giving them away. And we realized we can do better things with that. So again, we learned something about our audience. And it's going through these iterations and constantly asking, is this the right thing that we want to do? This is how we learn more about those audiences to begin with. We also tried very radical concepts. This was back in 2007, 2008 timeframe, and we embraced the concept of Second Life. Some of you may recognize this. Some of you may still actually be active in there. It is still a thing, and it still does exist. And we created an entire environment in there. And we invited our community to join us in here. And what we did was we actually had meet the author sessions, AMAs. We had sessions like the one I'm giving right now, but we did it from Second Life so that people were comfortable with an avatar of their creation. We had branded shirts and clothing and things like this that people could put on. We gave our swag inside the game. And we met there, and we honestly thought, okay, this is really cool. It'll be a small niche of people. And the first one we did, we were shocked by the number of people that came in. But more so, we were even more shocked by who came in. We thought it would just be some of the more techie ones or something like this, or this more the gamey types. But we had an industry analyst joining us. We were shocked. We hadn't accounted for that. We were yet again surprised by our audience, but we learned something from that audience along the way. And it's when you learn and you do these iterations and you're constantly asking that you start to realize that these are all good things that we need to know in order to enable us to engage our audience. And engaging our audience is always going to be the key of what we need to do and why we need to do it. Which leads us to the first of two programs that I would like to share with you today. This is a program that we started. It started back in 2000, at the very end of 2006. And it was a program that we launched called our SAP Mentors. Now, having an influencer or special group audience is not an unusual thing. A lot of companies do it. A lot of communities out there do it. I'm sure you're all thinking of a name in your head of a place that has one of these programs as well. But of course, you want your program to differentiate. You want yours to be unique. You want it to be special. You want it to be the only one. And in many cases, we are. And in many cases, we're like all the others. But that's okay, because this one is targeted at our audience and for our purposes and our needs. And what we think about when we think about our SAP Mentor program is we think about individuals around the world. These are experts in the industry. These are experts in their field. These are individuals who want to be successful with what they do, and what they choose to do is work with us, which means that they need us to be successful because it's all about mutual success. And this is a group of individuals that we actually work with. We have NDAs for them, so a lot of times we don't talk about what we do with them, but what they do is they help shape the future of our company. They help shape the future of our activities, of our products, of our technology, of our own strategies as we move forward. These are individuals who have taken it upon themselves. They volunteer their time just for the opportunity to share what they feel we should be doing, and they're very vocal about it. And we have an NDA with them. We have an opportunity to create a trusted, close-knit environment where everybody is safe to express the opinion that they want, even if they know we won't agree with them, because we want their honest feedback. We want that blunt feedback that is going to help trigger us to question, are we doing the right thing? And we have an opportunity, and our board members themselves have met with this group. They love talking to this group because the group is honest. They're everyday people that are out there. Some of them, yeah, they're owners or founders of their own company, or some of them are freelancers, or some of them work at our customers, or some are part of our partner organizations. Some of them are actually even retired, but they still have a foot in the door, and they're still anxious to make sure that we're successful. And so this is where our program starts to differentiate, because it differentiates for us. What makes our program successful for us is the fact that we find those individuals who are interested in mutual success together with us. But we have another program. That other program is what we refer to as our SAP Champions. Now, these individuals, they are also experts, Some of them are also retired, but they still love to be involved. But they're not so interested in dictating or giving us feedback about our own strategies. They're excited and passionate and driven to get everyone else to speak up. They're passionate to share their experiences. They're passionate to share their choices, their knowledge. They want to embrace our audience. They want to encourage our audience, and they want to really work together to help find for us who we should be paying attention to from a community perspective. These are our champions. These are the ones out there doing everything in their power because it's what they love to do. Jakob down in Switzerland has helped to create one of the most vibrant local communities in Switzerland for our topics. And he doesn't even work for us. He's just passionate. He loves to do it because he sees the value for him, and he's anxious to share that with others. We help, we support whenever and however we can, but these are people that are driven regardless of whether or not we are opening the door and helping them or something like that. They're doing it because they see the value, and we want to embrace them and help to encourage them, and we want to make sure that we can help whenever we can or however we can, and therefore we open it up. These are also customers, they're partners, they're students, they're retirees, they're just experts or freelancers in the field, or even employees, because even employees should be celebrated in your community environment. And when we come to these two types of groups and we think about them, people think, oh, wow, we got to scale it up. We need thousands and thousands and thousands of them. Do you? I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe your community needs that. Each one is subjective. It's different. And the other thing to remember is our, what we've done with our programs is we made them revolving. We have an alumni program, meaning that you can take a break. Maybe your job changes. Maybe your focus changes. Maybe, you've got new family members that you've brought into the world that you need to take a break. And because of that, we have an alumni program that's actually designed to let them still have a lifeline to us. There's still a channel where they can communicate to us directly. We still inform them, hey, this is the focus coming up in the next 6 months, or this is our 2022 focus plan. Anybody who's in the alumni that's interested and thinks, oh, wow, I really want to contribute to that. Things have changed at work. It's quieted back down, or the new job that I started is working out much better. I'm ready to take on the activities again. It's a revolving door. So we give them the way out so they can take a break, but we keep them close so we can still hear from them. And in many cases, this works out brilliantly. But the thing to remember is it's not always going to work out, because sometimes people get frustrated. And honestly, sometimes they don't want to change. They don't want to move forward with the times. It's for them, the change is not a good thing, because the only constant in life is change. And if it's not a good thing and they're not ready to move forward, if they don't want to adapt and become part of the new, if they don't want to listen to us, if they don't want to engage with us, if they don't want to talk to us about this is what we are trying to accomplish, then maybe it's time to also say goodbye. And it's okay. I mean, that's the thing to remember is I know a lot of companies and people are always fearful. Oh my God, they're going to go bashes on Twitter now. Okay. Does it really make them look good? If somebody goes bashes, all of a sudden they're alumni, or they've left the program, or they're a former person, and then they bash you on Twitter, how does that actually look? And it's important to remember that, because people are not, blind. They're going to understand this is why. If you can talk to them, if you can engage them, if you can bring them with you on this journey that you're doing, or this path that you're on, then that's fantastic. But sometimes people need to go their own way. And that's something that we also have to consider as well. So as you look at your audiences, engage your audiences, adapt to your audiences, and understand your audiences, and you start to look to how can I target a certain group and do something with that certain group and really build it up and get value from it for all parties involved and be mutually successful. Remember also that change happens even as you're doing that. And as the change happens, sometimes you have to remember, sometimes people have to part ways. That's okay, because this world is a small world. Even though people, it's such a big world and there's so many people, in the circle that you're in, you'll always meet the person again. And maybe 5 years from now, or maybe 5 months from now, or even a month from now, maybe something happens where that person is perfect to come back into your environment, and something's happened in their world where they now realize it. That's okay. Don't harp on it. Don't make a big deal out of it. Remember, it's about embracing, right? Embrace that audience. And that's what we want to start with, embracing. And that means being inclusive and understanding that the people from yesterday, the way they did it may not be the way the people from today are doing it. And it may definitely not mean that tomorrow the same people will do it the same way they did before. And that's where we want to be. So again, watch, learn, interact, give them a voice, balance those voices, right? Don't just take the ones who are really aggressive and nasty and think that by making them part of your program, they're going to be nicer to you. And don't take the ones who are only nice about you and put them in your program and think that you're going to make things better. You need to always find the balance. And never stop asking, is what I'm doing today the right thing? And ask again tomorrow.
Craig, thank you so much. Really appreciate all of that insight. There was loads of questions, but we are at time. So yeah, I just want to say,
my goodness, I'm so sorry.
I should have jumped in or given you a heads up, but
I'm so sorry. I love questions.
Well, maybe you could share a Twitter handle or something on in the chat there, anything that people could contact you on, ask you some questions. That would be awesome. But yeah, thanks so much.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter. You can also contact me at my email address, which is firstname.lastname@sap.com. I'll put that into the chat really quick. I'll probably get a ton of spam. That's okay. I got good spam filters.
That's beautiful. Well, thanks so much again, Craig. And thanks everyone else for joining. Lots more to come. So head on back out to the lobby and check your agenda and see another awesome session. Thanks again, Craig. All the best.
Thank you.